All right, welcome to FloMotion. Let's get started. We're gonna get started on our back. You wanna find yourself flat on the floor, feet glued to the ground. You wanna feel your big toes, your heels, as well as your pinky toe kind of all connected, those 3 points of contact. So feel that first, and then let that travel up to the base of your pelvis, the little bony parts of the back of your hips, those are your PSIS. You want to kind of glue those down, and then you want to push your lower back into the ground, so a slight little posterior pelvic tilt here. You can bring your hands on your lower rib cage, or you can have them flat to the ground. We're going to start off with some diaphragm breathing. So to start that, you want to close your mouth and inhale through your nose, feeling that expansion into the ribs. So if that's helpful to have your hands on your ribs, go ahead and do that. And you can exhale through your nose. I prefer to exhale through my mouth like I'm fogging a mirror, like this. Inhale. And exhale. Let's do 2 more. Try to inhale for 4 seconds. And exhale. 1 more. Breathe into your sides, breathe into your back, breathe into your belly. Full 360 degrees. Good. All right. So you can kind of be loose, let your knees windshield wiper from side to side. Now we're going to bring our knees up to our chest into cannonball. We have our low back, our lumbar and sacral spine. A little gentle stretch there. You can bring your hands onto the top of your knees or the top of your shins. Don't forget to breathe as you do this. Start to take it side to side. Do what feels good. Listen to your body. If you feel one side feels a little tighter, more restricted than the other, give that side some more attention, some more love. I like to kind of pull apart the knees, open up the inner thighs, switch that to a little modified happy baby or inverted butterfly stretch. I'm using my elbows kind of on the inside of my knees and thighs to kind of push out gently as I move back and forth here. While we're here in this position, let's take some deep breaths. This is going to push the air down into the diaphragm, deep into the pelvic floor to help bring some life and air in down into the hips and pelvis. So let's do that same deep diaphragm breath. And exhale gently. And inhale again. Try to imagine you're pushing the air down into your pelvis. One more time. Feel that expansion. Good. You can close up shop, close it back up, pull the knees up back to cannonball. And let's come back down to hook line or pinfall. Feet flat again. Make sure you got your big toes, pinky toes, and heels all in contact. Most of the weight's on the heels, but don't lose your toes. Find your lower back pressed into the ground again. So connect that low back, lumbar connection into the ground. Pelvic tilt, right? Hands down your sides now, and I want you to slowly kind of lift just your tailbone or your butt up off the ground without losing your lower back. And then continue by lifting one vertebrae up at a time. So this is the proper way to get into a hip bridge or a glute bridge. You don't just want to rush right up into it. A lot of times that arches the low back. You end up feeling it in the lumbar or the low back muscles and not the glutes. So again, back connected, toes connected. First unweight your pelvis or your butt, and then slowly, kind of like you're peeling Velcro off the floor, one vertebrae at a time, coming up nice and slow. Don't let your knees flare out too much because you don't want to lose that pressure from the big toes and engagement from the adductors. And now we're trying to push up a little bit harder. Again, make sure that you're not poking your ribs out. Stay flat, stay engaged through the midsection. And let's do some breath work here as we hold this glute bridge. Again, as you inhale, feel that 360-degree expansion of the ribs, the belly, and the back. Try this. Try taking one hand on the belly, one onto the lower back. It's really difficult to breathe into the lower back, but see if you can get some of that air to push back there. What helps me is to slightly keep a little bit of a brace in my abdominals, not too intense, just a little contraction here, almost like you're trying to push your belly out. That's engaging your transverse abdominis, your TVA muscles. So as you kind of hold that slight tension there, core brace, then try to inhale. That should allow some greater expansion into the low back. All right, let's come down. If your hamstrings and glutes are tired, that's normal there. Let's go into some windshield wipers. Side to side. Check into if one side feels tighter than the other. A little test I like to do is bring the feet together. Right? Try to adjust myself here. Knees together. And then let your knees fall to one side. And then try to retest on the other side. Just kind of take mental note there with if they feel the same or if one is so for me, when I go to the right, it is definitely a lot more restricted through my QL, my low back, my oblique a little bit on that left side. So that means we have some work to do, some corrective exercise to correct those asymmetries. All right, we'll keep going. Let's take our one knee, pull it up to your chest. Jackknife hold, and then we're going to pull that knee across your body down to the floor. It's okay if you can't get it to the floor. If you have something conveniently that nearby, like a yoga block, you could stack that, or a foam roller if you can't get it to the ground. But what I want you to do is make sure that this knee is up. Don't have it down here. The further up it is, the better it's going to protect your low back for this one. So you want the rotation to occur through the midsection, through our thoracic spine. That's our mid back. I like to turn my head and my neck away from the direction of that knee that's bent, looking towards my right arm, which is outstretched since I got my left knee over. And again, breath work is key here for trying to stretch your fascia, your muscles. Take 3 more deep breaths here. Really try to feel that expansion through the ribs, since here's where the rotation is. Good. Slowly come up out of there. Now let's hit the other side. So straighten out the right leg, pull the left knee up and across your body. Again, I do like utilizing that block or foam roller, a book, whatever you got. You can use your hand to pin that outside knee down. Turn your head and your neck to the opposite way from the knee that's bent. Again, breathing deep here into the diaphragm. Slowly come up out of that position. I like to come back to those windshield wipers Has a little reset in between. Along with cannonball, pull those knees up tight. If you're feeling flexy, you can progress your cannonball. I need a little room, so I adjusted into a plow pose. Now I'm already pretty warmed up. I've done some other things earlier in the day. Typically, I can't, if I'm waking up cold, I can't go right into getting my toes over. That's pretty good, actually. I've been quite stiff for late, which is why we're doing this. Which is why we're doing the FloMotion. Help myself, help all of you. You don't want this one to put too much pressure ever on your... I gotta adjust myself again. Space limited. You don't want to put too much pressure on your head or your neck here. You'll know it's, you gotta kind of note the difference between discomfort and pain. Pain is anything sharp or stinging or burning, right? Little discomfort, it's like, okay, this kind of sucks, but, it's good for me. You got to become more aware of your body so you know the difference between the two. All right, we didn't do any breath work there, but that's okay. Let's come out of that. Shrimp out. Jiu-jitsu out of there. Sweet. All right, should we do some shoulders before we get up into our seated position? I think we shall. So we're going to come into a side cradle position. I'm on my left side. Doesn't matter what you do. If you have that block handy, you could use that to rest your head. I just like using my other hand down through there because the focus is on this top shoulder. We are going to do first a windmill, or the book opener, sorry, and then we're going to do the windmill. So we start off by protracting the shoulder blade, the scapula, which is on the back of the rib cage, and then we're going to open it up just like that, similar to that stretch that we did when we were lying supine with the knee across. Again, with this one, bring those knees up. I have a tendency to kind of keep them down, but you want them at that 90 position, 90 degrees, hip flexion, 90 degrees, knee flexion. Inhale as you protract, as you reach. Exhale as you open that book straight across. And then you can follow your head and your neck with that movement. Again, if it's too much with your hand here, grab a pillow or something to help support you. All right, we're going to do the other side. We're going to inhale, reach forward. We're going to exhale, open the book. Big stretch of the pecs, chest, front of the shoulders. And as well as the mid-back. And we're going to come back to that first side. We didn't progress that to the shoulder windmill. This one gets a little bit more of the actual shoulder joint, less of the T-spine that we were doing. We're going to reach forward again, but now this time we're coming up and over our head and our neck. As soon as your bicep crosses your ear, flip your palm up towards the ceiling. And then you're going to bend your elbow at 90 degrees. And then try to bring that elbow back. This is a really big shoulder stretch here. As soon as you feel like you can't go any further back, extend that elbow, straighten it out, reach down towards your feet and your ankles. Again, imagine someone's grabbing your wrist and actively pulling you down so you're getting that little stretch through your upper trap. Let's do that one again. So reach forward, protract. Inhale as you start to bring that arm up and over. Flip your palm up. As soon as it crosses your ear, bend your elbow at 90. Try to get the back of the wrist. Imagine if you were wearing a watch. Try to get your watch to touch the floor while keeping your elbow bent and your palm up. You don't have to get it there. It's just the intention of going there that gets the stretch. Straighten the arm once you can't go any further. Again, don't push it. Discomfort, but not pain. And then reach forward again. Let's do one more time. Coming up, over, flip the palm, bicep crosses the ear, elbow bends at 90. Get that watch and wrist back to the ground. Big pec stretch. Nice. We do to one side, we got to do the other side. Assuming you can see me. Okay. Inhale, protract. coming up over your head. As soon as bicep crosses the ear, flip your palm up, bend the elbow 90 degrees, drop that wrist back. Don't let your knees come up. Keep them bent 90-90, right? Oof, yeah, this is my tight side. It's left side. 90 degrees bend. Bring it back down. Let's do one more time. A little more focus on this side. Inhale, reach forward, protract the shoulder blade off the rib cage. Straighten that arm up and over the head. Flip the palm up. Keep it up as you bend the elbow at 90. Drop the back of the wrist down to the floor. Big stretch. Keep going. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Go a little further. Straighten. You're being pulled down towards your feet. Good job. Let's come back to a flat back position. There's our floor series, our supine. And we're going to progress to a seated position. We're going to come into a 90-90. Very popular over the years, but one of my favorites. Works great for getting the glutes, hip rotators. So right now I have my left shin in front of me. Again, 90-90 because we're thinking 90 degrees. I have my femur, which is my thigh bone, extending straight out from my hip, and then this front knee is at 90 degrees. Ankle can be dorsiflexed up like that, or it can be relaxed. You just don't want it pointed out. You don't want it planar flexed, okay? So what we're gonna do is we also wanna make sure that that back knee is somewhat at 90 degrees as well. So again, straight out femur from the side. You don't want it too far up. You don't want it too far back. And then right from here, I just like to hold. This is actually, we're strengthening here. You may feel something weird, a little pinchiness. That's what I got going on. And this right side of the hip, that is normal. Again, it's uncomfortable, discomfort, but it's not pain. If it's pain or too pinchy, you can take a little pressure off. Gradually work yourself up to begin able to hold there. This may be a piece of cake for some of you. This maybe I've worked with people who can't hold themselves up. I start them off laying completely down. We use a yoga block to get up here, then a hand, then maybe a finger where we're kind of doing some pulses like that. But I want you to try to spend time wherever, one of those positions holding here. You can see I got a pretty good curve in my spine because I'm not as good as I could be here, but there's always room to improve. Let's bring our attention back to our breath. Let's focus on the stack that we did in the beginning. We didn't talk about it, but it's ribs over pelvis, right? Think of it like a cylinder. Here's our rib cage. We don't want our ribs flared or our pelvis tilted. We want everything to be nice and stacked, like a can of something, can of LaCroix. There you go. Okay, once you've had enough of that hip sparking at you, we're gonna come straight down. Again, try to align your sternum right over this front femur, your thigh bone, until you feel a little stretch. Maybe you feel it in the glute. Maybe not, it's okay. If you can feel it in other spots, that's fine. You can come down to your forearm. As I'm rambling away, giving you instruction, you should be breathing while you're in these holds. Listen to the instructions, but try to breathe in for 3, out for 3. If you could extend that to in for 5, out for 5. Slightly extending your exhale helps trigger your parasympathetic nervous system. You're getting out of fight or flight, more of your rest and digest or relaxation. So again, that is a longer exhale than your inhale. So let's do a few of those together here. I'm going to breathe in for 3 to 4 seconds, and I'm going to attempt to exhale a little bit longer for 5 to 6 seconds. So I'm inhaling, and I'm exhaling, like I'm fogging a mirror. Gently, very gently engaging the deep muscles of my core as I exhale. Inhale, I'm feeling that expansion, 360 degrees. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. we're gonna lean back, focusing more on this hip that's bent behind us. This hip is in internal rotation. This hip we worked at was external rotation, so we were stretching the external rotators. Now we're getting a little bit more of somewhat of the internal rotators here. All right, now we're gonna switch it up. We can practice the 90-90 roll another time, but for the purpose of this, we are just trying to connect our breath with the stretch. So check in with your 90-90s, make sure that they look pretty good. Oh, before we go into that, let's check our, see, I wanted to cheat because left side, right, is tricky for me. We all got our issues. Let's say it's an issue, it's something we're trying to work through. Yeah, see this one, I have to use a lot more of my oblique and side abs here to help out for the lack of this hip in internal rotation. So we're kind of learning about the body as we're in these positions. I'm using the block for this one because even being here, I feel too slouchy. So I'm kind of pushing into the block. You can see that how much that corrected my alignment. And right off the bat, I'm feeling my oblique and side ab quiet down because that's definitely overcompensates for this hip. So I can just feel this hip getting a nice stretch. I'm trying to let my sit bones, my pelvis kind of settle into the ground here. I'm trying to take that big diaphragm breath and send it down into the pelvis. Again, we're trying to bring life and air, oxygen, right, down into the area that needs it. If an area is tight, it's probably, it needs some life form, right? It needs some air, needs some life. So just like when we were laying on our back, we did that happy baby pose with our feet up. We're trying to bring the air down into our pelvis, our pelvic floor, low into our diaphragm. See, just a few breaths and I can notice a little improvement there. Still got work to do. All right, now we're gonna lean forward, take our bow, and come down to a form like we did before. Try to stay lined up with that front. Feel that global expansion as you inhale. As you exhale, slightly engaging your core. It's like so subtle, it's practically nothing. Practically nothing, almost like it might even be better if I didn't even say it, but it's a small cue, right? 1 to 2 out of 10. Breathe. Feel the sides of the ribs expand. Good. Let's come up out of there. Lean back to get that internal rotator again. Nice job. All right. So I'm just going to reposition. I'm going to come into what's called like a bear sit. I got my feet a little bit wider. And we're going to kind of do these windshield wipers, same motion as we did on our back, but now from a seated position, 90-90 transfers. When you do this, your knee should fall into the opposite foot, almost very mechanical like, foot right into the arch. I'm using my hands to help out. This may seem like a piece of cake if you are very mobile and more flexible than I am. This may feel like you're the Tin Man and you need some WD-40 in these hips. If you're the opposite, motion is lotion, right? Grease up the hinges. All right, continuing with a couple more seated stretches. We're in a seated half straddle. So I have my left knee bent in and my right leg extended out. However, I completely understand if this position bothers your knee or any part of that. So If you need to extend both out and go into a straddle, that's fine too. Even if you want to take some bend out of it. I like to have it bent. Now, if you have a strap or towel nearby, and I'm making you get all these props, I didn't tell you about them before, apologies. You can use it out around your foot like this. That's gonna feel good-ish, uncomfortable. I like uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is good to me because I know it's working. I am really emphasizing on, scoot back, see my foot and my toe spacers. I'm emphasizing on pulling my foot back. This is a dorsiflexion of the ankle. So I'm trying to decrease the space between the top of my foot and my shin. And this is really going to unlock the back of the calf. Because a lot of times it's like, oh, you know, this whole posterior chain, right? The calf, the hamstring, and the low back. Low back pain, I've seen it, you know, someone reduce their low back pain by working on their calves. So that's why we incorporate that. So I want you to try to stay upright with this one. Again, if it's bugging your knee, come out like that. No big deal. But try to stay upright. Try to hang on to that strap of that towel. And try to almost like push your chin forward on this one. Because if you fall down, you're going to lose that stretch. So push the back of the knee down to the floor. Keep trying to pull those toes back. Keep trying to lift your chin. Somewhat keeping a good posture even though we're coming in. And now we're going to take some deep breaths. It's all about the breath. Try to sink a little bit further down as we inhale. And exhale, hold. Inhale, get an inch or two further. Exhale. Nice. Now we're going to go into a QL stretch before we switch sides. You can stay with the strap. If you've got long monkey arms like I do, you might be able to hook right onto your foot or your ankle. You can use a strap. Turn, so that way you're almost kind of lining up the side of your body with that leg that's extended. Take your left hand, put it behind your head, try to aim your elbow up. Now, before we even do this, if this knee is really hiking up like that, if you're in this position, by pushing this down and kind of rotating like this, so you rotate away from the knee as you push it down. This is a nice little fascial maneuver to get that quadratus lumborum, sounds like your favorite Harry Potter spell, stretched out the QL muscles on the side of the back. Those and the hip flexors play tug of war all day long, especially if you're sitting. It can cause a lot of issues in the low back. So there's a good little fascial maneuver there to get that initiated. You can keep doing that because that's a great one. I like to, after I do a few of those, bring this up to the breath here, right? Now we are going to apply a little yin-yang, a little length and strength as we do this, because you don't just want to stretch and be loosey-goosey. You want to be able to stretch, relax, and contract. Okay, so that's the whole method behind FloMotion and a lot of other kind of PNF related mobility practices. What I mean by that is we are going to try to contract our side abs on our right side opposite from the QL of the left side. Okay, so it's going to look like this. We are going to take a breath in, and as we exhale, we're going to feel those right side abs, side that we're leaning towards, contract. And then we're going to inhale, trying to direct that air and that space over to this side. And then we're going to exhale. We're going to feel those right side abs contract. Hold that contracting as you inhale. And exhale. One more time. A lot of work to be done on that one. That is a tight side for me. If that seems a little too overly complicated for you, don't worry about it. Stay with the fascial flow or do what feels good. We will dive into that one a little bit deeper at another time. Okay, switching sides. Now, I say taking the bend out of this knee because for a period of time I could not do this. In wrestling, I had someone land 280-pound dude right on this lower leg here. I thought my knee was crushed or something, but it was my fibula. My fibular head was posteriorly displaced. So picture a chicken wing and one of the smaller bones got knocked backwards. Anyways, Chiro and PT had to push it back into place. Still have a little bit of issues with that fibular head. So I could not do this stretch for a long time. I had to do the extended one. So if you had a 280-pound dude land on your leg one time, or if you got some issues with your knee, take the bend out of it. All right, we're coming to that hamstring, calf, full posterior chain stretch here. You are going to pull that top of the foot back towards you. Try to align your big toe with your shin bone right up through the femur. Creeping forward, kind of pushing your chin forward. I don't know why that works, but it does. Feeling that stretch to the back of the calf, all the way through the hamstring. Maybe you're getting some low back on this. It's a full chain. So if you're like, I don't really feel my calf, I just feel my low back, it's going to get whatever chink of the chain you need it the most. Let's do some breath work together here. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and out. Nice. Not as bad on that one. Fascial maneuver. If that knee's really poking up, push it down, turn away. Push down, turn away. You really got to get comfortable controlling and owning that breath. I'm going to beat that dead horse until you hear me in your dreams talk about your breath. All right. Get that quadratus lumborum. Hand behind the head. Contract, relax, right? Yin and yang. Tightening our left side abs. As we exhale, and then we inhale, we're directing that air to the side. When I inhale, I'm actually going to try to get a little bit deeper or a little bit further. And then I exhale, I'm just going to hold. Slowly come out of that one. Don't get stuck. That one can be pretty intense. QLs are pesky. All right. We're going to finish up in a half kneeling position. Let's start right side. This will kind of conclude. We did mostly kind of hips, low back today. Another time we'll get deeper into some more shoulder stuff, more of a full body flow, but I could keep going. But it's good to kind of keep things somewhat organized. So this is just a basic half kneeling hip flexor stretch here. You've probably seen or done 100 times. Let's really break it down though. So I have 90-90 motion here. The stack is what's key here. So we got the pelvis, we got the rib cage. We don't want the ribs to be poking out. We don't want the pelvis to be tilted anteriorly, right? Butt out, back arch. We want to tuck our tailbone. Feel our abs gently kind of engage or tighten up here. Just right from there doing that, I feel a much bigger stretch up through my quad, through my thigh, okay?
While holding that position, all I want you to do is come forward a little bit more. That's it. You don't have to go crazy deep with this one. I want you to feel your back glute slightly firming up by trying to push through, almost like you're trying to push your belt buckle forward. And now you're going to take your left hand, because I got my left knee back, and reach that up without poking your ribs out, without losing that stack we just created. Keep reaching that up, but reach with the base of your palm, not your fingers, like you're trying to almost push your palm up towards the ceiling, slightly side bending. The breath is key here. Think how close the diaphragm and the psoas, which is your main hip flexor, are. They're right there. They share the same fascial lines. Exhale, feel that contraction. Inhale, bring the air down into the pelvis. Exhale. Good. I think that was my dog. She just dropped her bone on the floor. All right, shake it out. Switch it up. Go this way. We'll go this way. All right, the stack. Tuck your tailbone. Yep. Problem side, right side. Most people have a tighter right hip flexor area than the left. More on that later. Ribs up, nice and tall. Reaching that base of your palm, not your fingertips, up. If you inhale too quickly or too sharply here, that air is going to go right up into your chest. Like, right, you see people breathe like that. I'm guilty of doing it, especially when we're stressed, when we're in fight or flight. That's how we breathe. But we really got to breathe low, like we're pouring a glass of water. If we pour a glass of water fast, water's going to splash out. If you pour the glass of water slowly, it fills nice and evenly from the bottom up. Do that with your breath. Send that air low. As you exhale, you're just lightly contracting back glute, front abs, feeling that length through the side. By breathing in slowly, you are stretching your diaphragm, which is helping you release your psoas because it's all connected right there with that same connective tissue, your fascia. Take that forward a little bit. And come out of it. Alrighty, we are going to end there for today. We will see you next time. Keep moving.